What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a hero guide for Fairy Queen Vesa because, well, most people go for Eloise as their first hero to build, and the best Transcendence hero to pair with her is actually Fairy Queen Vesa. Now, Eloise can get like all the way up to like Vanquisher. Essentially, she can get through Defier without any Transcendence heroes, and then once you get Vesa to help support her, you can actually make it through Vanquisher in Vortex as well. And of course, like we say, Eloise is just the best hero in the game for the early game, non-Transcendence heroes. She just does everything you want. I think she kind of struggles with an Aspen Dungeon, but Fairy Queen Vesa is a very nice complement to that. So let's go over, talk about why she's so strong, how to set up your team, because again, this is going to be very specific for the early game, talking about the Eloise Fairy Queen Vesa combo and how to set them up, how to get your tenants and your households and all that stuff set up too. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So first off, let's talk about the hero in general, just so you guys get a good understanding. Now, she is quote-unquote a support hero, but she does some absolutely crazy damage down the road as well. When you first get her, though, she's going to be 100% a support hero to go alongside your Eloise. Now, her basic attack is interesting. It does smart target the highest attack enemy. It reduces all damage dealt by 24%, which is pretty big for the survivability of your Eloise. Then she heals 3 allies with the lowest HP and as a shield. So that is pretty solid overall. When the battle starts and whenever the substitute heroes are in the battle, Fairy Queen Vesa gains Blessing of Purity. At the end of each round, she grants one ally with the lowest HP that Blessing of Purity. Now that's the thing, that's the little flower that kind of floats in front of her in combat. Basically what that means is heroes with Blessing of Purity have an 80% chance to not be critically hit. I do believe this goes up to 100%, yep, at V2, which is very, very strong, making you uncrittable, which is awesome. If you're ever facing waves that have like pennies, you just put like Vesa by herself in the front row. Penny can't crit. There's no big AoE damage. Melody of Nature. During the battle, when Fairy Queen Vesa's HP is lower than 50% the first time, dispels all debuffs and restores her back to 100% of HP, while increasing all allies' precision by 30% and attack by 15% for 6 rounds. A lot of people forget that precision and attack kind of combo does actually really help your team out. And then whenever an ally dies, she has a 50% chance to inflict silence and gag order on all enemies for 1 round. Yeah, silencing them so they're unable to release active skills or crit, because again, if they're just using their basics, they still can get that off, but they cannot crit with that attack. It's absolutely huge. And then her big shielding healing combo is her active Life of Bloom, or Life in Bloom. Releases Power of Life and attacks enemies 4 times. So that's why you see a bunch of really random pinging damage. For each layer of Newborn Radiance Vesa has, she launches 1 additional attack on enemies. Each attack deals 80% attack. It's a very solid number as well. Damage to 1 random enemy. Then she restores all allies HP equal to 480% of attack 2 times, and as a shield up to 80% of that healing, while granting herself 1 layer of Newborn Radiance. The Newborn Radiance is a skill effect. Each layer of Newborn Radiance increases the healing effect by 12% and strengthens the damage caused. So those are really, really good. Now, just as a hero by default, we can kind of actually jump into our heroes and just take a look at her real quick. Okay, so you usually see us building her for speed attack, things like that, but in reality, it depends on how your team is built. You kind of want to build her more for survivability and not go for an A and B in the early game. I kind of prefer a crown both on Eloise and on her, because keeping her alive and getting her going with her active skill, all that fun stuff does pay off. Because again, Eloise, we've already done a build guide on her. If you want to check that out, make sure I'll try to remember to put a link up in the top corner in case you want to go view it right now. But you're basically not going to be putting any power whatsoever in the Vesa. You're not even going to be putting in her as your main householder. When you look at Cloud Island here, your Eloise is going to continue to be your main householder. You're going to want to build heroes like Onkirimaru, probably like, this is rough because again, when you're building tenants, you want them to be useful in the early game. And then number 2, you don't want them to be a priest or an assassin. You want them to be a ranger, mage, or a warrior. So as nice as Ithqua is to have, she is the weakest of the householders to put in for attack value. I'll put that asterisk, attack value. Building a Jara is oddly enough like one of the best things you could probably do, and then convert her into a Starwing Jara down the road. Building like a Tix is pretty solid, and then lastly, getting a carry is pretty solid for this team. So you're building some Dark Heroes, some Shadow Heroes, maybe even some Forest Heroes to kind of split up that build order and everything, but no matter what, Eloise will be your main tenant when you're building your Fairy Queen Vesa as your first hero. It's just simply put because, I mean, that's where the power comes from. She is the one clearing. Your Fairy Queen Vesa is 100% just the support hero in the game. That's it. Now, once you get past certain checkpoints, you beat Vanquisher with your Eloise Vesa combo, you're starting to want to do other things like maybe even progress into pushing like Sealand past Sealand 20. Again, you probably want to try to make sure you're there eventually before you go too hard in on the Vesa. But after that, she is absolutely amazing at getting progress. Not as good as some other heroes like Queen, because all Queen needs is like an Ignis and stuff. Fairy Queen Vesa does need more of that forest support around her, but I do like running her with like an A and B eventually. Once she gets to like V4, she becomes very, very powerful, like very powerful. But finding that sweet spot of when to transition away from Eloise and into Vesa is the hard part. It's typically when you're getting to like 2 to 3 Transcendence heroes. At least that's how I've run it before. It worked pretty good. There might be some a little bit better strategies out there, but again, I'm just trying to get you guys some basic information on what to do. Then beyond that, if we actually take a look at our main one here, she can do a lot of things for you. She can get you very far progress in Aspen Dungeon. Again, the only downside is Amun-Ra's thing, and that healing curse pretty much makes this Life in Bloom almost completely nuke herself to death, so that is a struggle. But she's really good in a lot of game modes because, number one, she's one of the best PvE damage dealers. So if we're talking about a couple game modes like Guild Altar, she's like the best damage dealer in the game. Besides like Ithaca teams and stuff like that. Star Expedition, she's part of like the best Star Expedition boss damage dealing team. So she's very important to have there as well. And she's just really good in overall PvP and a lot of other game modes. She's awesome support in Void Campaign because of her chance to not be crit. Like, honestly, this is one of the best survivability abilities in the game because you'd be amazed how much damage you're reducing by not being able to be crit. She's sometimes the last hero alive on our team, even in Void Campaign, when she doesn't have like any tenants. She just has like 05 and stuff and some X levels, but she's like, she's crazy. It's crazy how strong she can be. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you build her differently, if you've swapped the power from Eloise to Vesa a little differently. Make sure you guys help everybody out in the comments down below if you have a really good strategy that worked for you. And I'll see you guys next time.